How was she doing? I talked about a half hour tonight, that's about it. Yeah, she worked a little bit late. She brought a couple things home. It's Aurora's birthday today, so Aurora likes biscuits and all. So I had the bacon fried on it. She got the biscuits and the gravy on the stove and supper. Then I said, I gotta go steal. Well, it's been there. And I got about 3/4 stacked in the shed. That'll get me through this one. I got a small freestanding Franklin. But I burn that one. I don't burn it 24 hours a day. I pretty much, when I get home from work, 4:30, 5 o'clock, I light it up. Start it about this cereal and all I go to bed. I don't like it. Yeah, I get up there probably twice a burn season. Once right away at the beginning, and then I'll get up there in the Allie did probably. It's a nice straight shot. I don't have those guns and stuff. Probably over there. Yeah, the baby foot ice cream dinner. That was my brother's.
In order. Pledge allegiance. Jill.
Here.
Melissa.
Here.
Michelle.
Yep.
Ray Newman's present. Lloyd will not be present. Now please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Are there any open forum requests? None? Winnie?
No, I have not.
Let's move to approval of the agenda. Any discussion on the agenda? We do need to add in the fire relief association, the actuary piece. That would be number F3. For an audit. Any other discussion on the agenda? Motion for approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda. I'll second.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Matt vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Agenda is approved. The consent agenda. Any discussion on the consent agenda?
I had questions on Eckberg Lammers, and Andy is looking into it for me.
Anything specific?
Yeah, commission, how much we were charged for our application revisal for Park and Rec.
Okay. Anything that needs to be added to the approval? Of those, or a change to it, or an addendum to that? Okay, if not, then there's our motion to approve the consent agenda.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second?
I'll second.
Michelle?
No.
I vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-1. Okay, a copy of the Wright County Sheriff's report was added. It just came in today, as I understand.
Right.
Right.
We don't have an officer here, do we?
Any discussion? Okay, let's move on to city council activity reports. Jill?
I attended the volunteer dinner that Park and Rec put on. I attended our personnel meeting, the EDA meeting, attended the workshop for our city interviews, attended Park and Rec meeting. We had a special meeting on the hiring and the Montrose Days Committee meeting.
Melissa?
I had, the volunteer dinner, the last feed produce drive that we had, EDA meeting, interviews, the Halloween party, which was a lot of fun. The special meeting, our Beyond the Elder meeting was last week. And that was
Michelle?
Volunteer dinner. Special meetings with hiring of our new staff. Montrose Days, community ed, I can't find my email. I attended the community ed and we discussed the open gym. Wendy, I think you got the email too, I don't have the number off the top of my head, 800 and some participants, open gym,
Good.
right?
Yeah.
Last year?
820 something or 50 something.
Yeah, so we're hoping to increase that again this year.
Is that up from last year?
What's that?
Is that increased from last year?
Well, that is last year's.
That was last year's.
That was last year's numbers.
Last year was our first year.
Last year was the first year that I arrived back, so hopefully we'll increase it this year. Monday and Wednesdays, from 6 to 8, so.
Okay, I attended the feed drop, the Montrose Fire Department candidate interviews, the volunteer of the year dinner, personnel committee meeting, the EDA meeting, VFW meeting, and VFW Veterans Dinner, where we hosted vets from the St. Cloud Veterans Hospital down here in the community center, and it was a very nice dinner for them, well appreciated by the vets. The workshop for the treasurer candidate interviews, the MinCar Expo in Minneapolis, which was offered some good insight with the developer in reference to the Preserve of Montrose. We're following up in reference to that as well, and hopefully we'll get a developer that'll have some more interest in that property. Boy Scout meetings, the Halloween dance, which was a lot of fun. Park and Rec meeting, Firemen's Relief Association meeting, and the District Roundtable meeting. Okay. Personnel Committee.
You want to do it or should I do it?
Oh,
Oh, thanks, Scott. It was another fairly quick meeting. We had an update on the city clerk treasurer position at that time. We discussed the appointment of the fire chief to the personnel committee. And then in other business, there was discussion with Greg and the city attorney about union negotiations, employee hour spreadsheets for review, and fire department moving forward with 3 candidates, and a quick discussion on emergency management. That was about it.
Denise. Any questions on that one? Let's move on to the attorney. Andy?
Thank you, Mayor and Council. I have two items tonight. One, coming out of our discussion last month on a potential drone ordinance. And we had some discussion at this level, and I went back and did some research. I just have a verbal update for you, and then maybe proposal or recommendation for potentially moving forward with this. I think this is certainly an item that your new clerk treasurer might be interested as well, and to have it at a workshop level where there's frank discussion. I know members of the audience would want to be involved in that too, so that could be something to move up on. I did pull the St. Bonnie ordinance that was referenced at the last meeting. It was passed in March of 2013, so it's a couple years old now. So they were really trailblazers, because really there hasn't been much of anything else done on this, as you know, at the federal level, certainly.
And the FAA has not passed their requirements yet. I think the date on that is November 20th, if I'm not mistaken, but they missed their deadline for when they were supposed to impose it.
Yeah.
So I'd like to see that go in first,
Right.
because that is pretty stringent. And if we can address those guidelines in our policy, that would be helpful as well.
Yeah. From my understanding, they've been working on those since 2011, those regulations.
They have.
So, and of course, technology has changed quite a bit since then anyway.
But they're pushing them pretty hard.
Yeah, right. So the ordinance that I pulled from St. Bonnie was essentially you cannot fly any drones in the city up to 400 feet in airspace, and then 400 feet above is regulated by federal government, or certainly not by the city.
It's a full stoppage then?
Yeah, and according to the ordinance is really 1 page long, or two. I mean, it's very short. I was just reading on my computer. The exceptions for that no-fly zone is an emergency, where you have because the no-fly zone applies to residential, commercial, and governmental, so that would include public safety. So it's just a blanket ban. However, the exceptions would be for emergencies, and whether that would be a public safety unit flying a drone to see if someone's caught in a ravine or something. And then if you have a search warrant as well, that's another exception. And then the third exception was people could fly a drone on their own property. So, and then the ordinance also calls for a 2-year moratorium on drones at the state level. So the state, which has no teeth to it, but the state would undertake some research or something where they would release their own regulations. Now, those might be mooted by the pending federal regulations, but it did call for that back in 2013. There has been some state legislation introduced by, I forget his name, out of the Cambridge area, to regulate these at the state level, but they haven't progressed beyond any initial hearing. So that's the small amount of research that I did on this. I didn't draft anything, knowing that the folks in the audience would want to discuss that a little bit at a workshop level perhaps, and then knowing that there were some impending federal regulations. So.
Yeah, I think we'll probably end up with the workshop being after the first of the year, given the December calendar. And that gives the FAA time to move on their piece as well. If not, we have a pretty good idea of what their proposed ordinance is for the FAA. Any update on the Whitetail road coating there?
I have not had any discussions with anyone this last month. I don't have my notes in front of me, so I can't remember the gentleman's name at the contractor level, but I sent in correspondence to him and have not heard.
Okay.
So we'll keep trying on that.
Keep pushing on that one, because I'd like to get that early in the year if we can. I know we're beyond the season now, but I want to try and get that finished up because the residents are concerned out there. SunShare subscription.
Yes, Mayor and Council, we had there was a discussion now for a couple months, and you're probably familiar with the details. And the gentleman from SunShare came, I believe, to your August meeting and discussed this. The city has executed a letter of intent to basically get a spot reserved in a solar garden that is being developed by SunShare. They have a number of areas throughout the state, and I believe one of them, Waverly, is going to be coming up soon. So basically, Montrose has a spot at the table to go ahead and have a subscription for solar energy, which would essentially replace your Xcel Energy burden on your public buildings. So I had a discussion, a phone call with the gentleman who was working with SunShare. Kyle Roach is his name, and it was very helpful because I was somewhat out of my league with understanding all this, and he broke it down as far as, because my question was, well, what are the costs to this? Because you're going to have something where basically you're still going to get an Xcel bill for, $2,000 or something for all of your buildings, just to make it easy, and then you're going to see a credit for $2,000, and then you're basically going to pay a bill under $2,000, which will represent your savings that you have on your solar energy. So there are two choices for the city to begin with as far as how much it's going to cost, and that begins on page 36 of your packet. And this information, I think, Wendy, didn't come until later in the week last week. So I assume that this came out in the packet, though. Okay. So page 36 of the packet. So really, there are two rates that the city can pursue here. And I understand option one basically to be, if you see that there on page 36, option one, the fixed rate, is essentially a lower cost up front, and then over the 25-year period of this agreement, a higher annual escalator rate going up. So you save a little bit more now, and then later you would have higher percentages of increase, and I think that would be a 2.25% annual escalation. If you expect your Xcel rates to go up quite a bit, which they usually do, then this might not be that bad of a choice, because you may have a higher increase in your SunShare costs, but you're still going to save because Xcel rates are going to go up higher. Option two, fixed discount, was explained to me as being a higher cost now and then a lower escalator going forward. So a 1.75% escalator over the 25 years. But you pay a little bit more now. And then on the pages following, it was hard for me to really follow this, but it gives you examples of how much estimated cumulative savings you're going to get if you do option one versus option two. But of course, we have a lot of variables in play here, such as how much our Xcel rate's going to go up. What if you want to get out of the contract after 10 years or something? Stuff like that. So that all goes into it. He did say it's a 25-year agreement, and they try to make it hard for people to exit these agreements, obviously, because they have a pretty high cost of putting these in. They want to recoup that investment. But they did say that, so there will be a penalty if the city gets out of it after 25 or before 25 years. And we're not sure what that penalty would be right now, but they did say that if there's someone that takes the place of the city in the solar garden, then the city would get credited that termination fee that you had to pay. So for example, if you get out of it after 10 years and you pay a fee, if they find somebody to take your place, then they're going to rebate your penalty payment. He said in Colorado, where they've already started doing this, they have a waiting list very long, so it's very easy there basically is no early termination fee in that case. They'll always find a replacement for you. So to finish up on my end of this is essentially, this is a decision for the council to make. Legally, I've gone over the proposed contract, and I didn't really have any changes because there's really no liabilities to the city per se, as far as what if the solar grid thing goes down or it needs to be repaired. Well, it's their system. You're just renting it basically, so there's no real liability issues that you have. But you have sort of pricing on pages 37 and forward. So, for example, on option one, there's an estimated savings of just under $200,000. On the option two, there's an estimated savings of around $250,000, but you can't really hold them to those estimates because of the changing nature of them. So in the end, I would say that it's the council's policy decision to figure out if you still want to go into this program. You can certainly back out of it now at no cost to you. And then if you do want to go forward, what option you're going to take, option one or option two. That's all I have.
Discussion?
should point out too, I found this interesting, was, for example, on page 38 of your packet, it gives an example of, kind of right in the middle page, it has an example of an annual utility rate increase of 4% by Excel. I'm not sure what the annual average is for Excel rates to go up. You know, might be around there. I don't know if anyone knows, but so if it goes up by 4%, then you know you'll save over 25 years over $640,000 if you enter into this option according to these calculations. However, if Excel Energy only increases their rates by 1% a year, then you're going to lose almost $300,000 because the SunShare rates are going to go up by 2.25% every year, and the Excel rates are going to be way down here 1%, so you're losing money. But the percent chance of Excel going down to that basement level is pretty low. I mean, very low. So I just wanted to point it out that there's a potential to lose money here, but not very high.
Wendy, have you had a chance to crunch numbers on that? And make a recommendation?
No, because I mean, it's up to you guys, I guess, which one you want to go with. Excel just was approved an increase, isn't it, a 3% increase? They just were approved
I don't know what
last
the
week.
increase was.
The commission approved them to increase the rates, and it's, I kind of think it's like a 3% increase on your Excel bill. So either one of these options would save us money at that rate, but I don't know what they'll be over the years, you know, if it's.
Well, rates increase, option 2 is the best increase, then option 2 would be the best. If rates do not increase, then option 1 is the best.
But I would think more on 3%.
I would as well.
The fair average is probably 3 to 6% from Excel.
I would agree. Plus with the infrastructure to put in, you're seeing increases as well. So is there a consensus for option 2?
I'm good with option 2. Good idea.
I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to move forward with option 2 from the SunShare Solar Garden Plan.
I will second that.
I vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Joan?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0 for option 2 of the SunShare proposal.
There's a form that we need to fill out, so I'll go ahead and fill that out with SunShare. It gives them the authority to get all of our rates and everything from Excel so they can start putting everything together for us.
Okay, Park and Rec.
Our meeting was November 2nd, mayor and council. We approved the agenda, approved the October minutes. Park Commission member Brew Klug arrived late at 5:41. And the archery practice range, we need to do some more work on it, but we have somebody very interested. His name is Tony. And the park, master park and trail plan was discussed, and things were identified, and capital improvements. There's a lot of wish lists to be discussed yet. The commission application discussion. And it was reviewed by the attorney, but I don't think there was any changes really on it. Halloween decoration contest.
On that, the ordinance states they have to be a resident of the city, is that correct?
Yes. And we did have one that came to join the Park and Rec Commission, but she was outside of the city limits, so she can't join. And the decoration contest for Halloween went to Margaret Whitmire meter at 323 Fieldcrest Lane. Our next big thing is Skate Day, which we have scheduled for the 23rd of January 2016 at Carver Field. Christmas decoration contest is coming up, and the judging will be on Monday, December 21st between 6 and 8, and it was adjourned.
On the skate day, were you going to ask to have money transferred?
Yeah.
First it has to get cold.
What?
First it has to get cold.
Right, it has to get cold, is right. And we have money left over that we had transferred from one thing. I think that was the.
Party in the Park, it went from Party in the Park to National Night Out.
And
volunteer
then to the volunteer dinner.
Now, actually, if you want to, I've got it here, you had, the council approved $500 for the National Night Out, and they also approved $500 for your party in the park, and you didn't spend either. So when everything was said and done, you still had $664.08 left. And then you had your volunteer dinner, which was about $160, so you're looking at then $500 that you have left.
Right.
So you were asking if you could use that for skate day, right?
Right.
I make a motion that we allow the remainder of the funds that were allocated previously to Park and Rec in the amount of approximately $500 to be utilized by Park and Rec for skate day.
There was something else.
I'll second that.
Something else. Oh, and.
Christina was gonna ask
Oh,
what
yes.
else.
Just a moment, we got a motion on the floor.
It was Greg and
Jill?
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries 4-0 to be able to utilize the remaining funds that were in Park and Rec for skate day.
Okay, so before you go any further, Sean also asked me to put on here about soliciting donations for skate day.
Yeah. Christina was gonna talk to Dollar General. Remember?
Yeah, but I don't think, it's only for education, I think.
I don't know, that's why we had the solicit donations, was so that she could ask if we decide we wanna do that.
But I think that's what.
But if she's not a member of the Park and Rec, it should be a member of the Park and Rec who says that.
And we do have a letter that we've written in the past
Right.
that just says Park and Rec is sponsoring whatever event you're sponsoring. And it just asks, something about Park and Rec is sponsoring this event, we are looking for donations. So Sean has that letter, I think he'll be updating it. So if anybody is going to ask anybody, you should use that letter and do it on behalf of Park and
Is
Rec.
that on letterhead?
Yep.
It should be.
Yeah, and it would have to be done on behalf of Park and Rec, and then that way we, so at the end of the year, we accept all the donations we have and all.
Okay.
We need a motion on it? I don't think so.
I don't think so, as long as everybody knows that that's how you need to do it.
So it's okay to do.
Okay to do that, to do it with a letter, and it should be a member of the Park and Rec that represents the Park and Rec there.
Right.
You may want to have people who are interested in that, but aren't able to join the board, come and offer input, but they won't be able to be voting members, I understand that based on the ordinance. Anything further, sir?
No, I think that's it.
Thank you so much. Engineer?
Justin's not here, I sent a memo on 2 different items. The first one is the company called Aurora or Geronimo Solar is putting in a solar farm on the property just west of Rockbrook, if you know where Urban Apple's property is. And they will access that property by going off of Bishop Avenue, which is a small street off of Highway 12 over by Garfield. And they just need this consent to go across our easement that we have in there for our sewer line that is in there. Justin said it's not a problem, it's a 15-foot gravel road. They do know that if, this consent agreement, it says if we have to tear it up for any reason to fix our line, we're not fixing their road, they have to fix it. So, we just need the consent, or the motion to approve the consent agreement for them to cross.
Do you have a motion?
There's no concern with what they're gonna be driving over that road, that it can ruin the infrastructure, is there?
No, he didn't have any problems with it.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve the consent and crossing agreement with Aurora Solar.
Second.
I'll second.
Melissa?
Aye.
Bill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries 4-0. Then we have the Regional Park National Guard.
Then the second memo he sent was just an update on where we were at with that. You all recall he made the application to the National Guard for possible grading of our regional park. And he sent it to the National Guard, and then they in turn sent it out to all the different, I don't know if you call them troops or military services. I'm not sure how to word it.
Engineer units.
And I can tell you, I did have a voicemail and an email from the same person. It was a master sergeant at Fort Snelling that said they are interested and want to come and look at it. So I sent him back an email telling him that Sean and Justin were both out this week, but that we would get in touch with them as soon as they got back.
Terrific.
So we do have some interest.
That's great.
So, yeah.
Highway 12 redevelopment usually does the flower pots, and well, I think we should think about getting them done now, because it's going into Thanksgiving.
I don't know how they do those. Do they require anything from the city? I don't think they do.
Well, the city normally pays for the plants, or the flowers, or whatever we have to put in.
We had to do a winterization of them. We don't, what do we normally approve on that?
Last year, I don't know if we did anything. The year before, we put in,
Yeah, we did something last year, because we planted the Highway 12 redevelopment for Christmas.
I don't remember exactly what we spent in the past.
Do you recall what it cost from last year, somebody, by any chance?
I didn't see the bill.
The other question I have is, did that come out of EDA for the 12 redevelopment, I would imagine?
Probably.
Okay. We really cannot obligate EDA funds, but we can, recommend that they be done. And it will be paid either through EDA or on approval of the EDA meeting.
You don't have another meeting till.
Yeah, we'll have a meeting until January.
Doesn't have to be too late.
So let's go ahead and approve it up to, 500 should be okay on that one, I would think. Up to $500 for the winterization planting of the Highway 12 pots. And then we'll consult with EDA to have them approve that fund spending to reimburse the city on their meeting in January. Do we have a second?
Where does the money come from, EDA?
It's going to come from the city initially and then
Yeah.
reimbursed from EDA. But it'll have to be after the EDA meeting.
It's like an interfund loan.
Yeah.
I think you can approve for it to come right out of EDA because you're all members of EDA.
That's true. Well, there's that motion, still have it be funded by EDA funds.
Now, would the Boy Scouts be interested in donating the trees for in the center of the pot, the big pots?
They can't donate them, because they purchase all of those, not until after their sale is done. After their sale is done, they usually have like 3 or 4 trees left over. They usually lose 2 or 3 trees, and they usually have 3 or 4 trees left
Yeah,
over.
we wouldn't want them real big, just set
No,
outside the big pot.
If you've got a spot in the middle of them, we could put that tree in there after their sale is done in December. But that would be December 25th before they clean up the lot.
Oh, I guess we'll do what we can.
Okay.
Because like the white birch, we've found a couple of trees that have blown down, and I can cut some of that off and put in,
Yeah.
which will be very pretty.
Okay, so a motion on the floor that was amended to come from EDA funds, and was it seconded?
Can we do that EDA fund thing?
Well, I mean, the way that you're gonna need to do this is to do it like the interfund loan, because the EDA is a separate
Right.
political corporation, even though you're all members of it, so you're gonna need to follow that.
3 of us that are missing from there.
So city council takes the initial thing, and then it's like an interfund loan, EDA will for transfer back. I don't know if that raises any issues with it, close out of funds in a year or whatever, that's maybe a mighty question here. I don't see what's that.
I think $500 is more than enough to do them, really.
And which pots are these?
The big ones. We only do the big ones at Christmas time. The 3 big ones.
The ones that you and Paula take care of?
Yep.
So you need a second?
Still need a second.
I'll second.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. And then we follow up with Joe as well, reference that one. And maybe we can send out an email and get approved before the close of funds and be able to transfer it.
Thank you.
Okay. Fire department.
Fire relief.
Fire relief.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I know a few of you, my name is Jeff Daniels. I'm the secretary for the Relief Association of the Montclair Fire Department. I've actually got a couple proposals or recommendations this evening. The first being that an increase in our current annual pension of $2,000 be increased to $3,000.
In your packets, I put in the numbers from the Public Employment Retirement Association, which is PARA, the state pension. That's the second thing on the list here, but if you notice on there, if they switch to PARA, even at $3,000, the funding that will be required from the required contribution, municipal contribution, is still only $13,000. And right now, between the city and the townships, they are getting $42,000. So they very easily can go to $3,000 without.
And the other issue is with the bylaws of the Relief Association, their amount is much less than it's supposed to be based on where they're at in the Relief Association.
Yeah, based on numbers from last year, it's actually increased up to about 4,200. It's possible. Obviously, that'd be the maximum range. The two proposals kind of go hand in hand. The second proposal with moving to PERA, really the ability to deviate or increase or decrease the annual pension is really frozen for 5 years. So in an effort to not negatively impact those that may be coming into retirement age, that may be eligible currently or will be in the next 5 years, once we go in, unless that individual is in there for 5 years, they won't see any benefit increase in pension. So we really do need to raise it prior to entering that system because it's completely frozen for 5 years.
It ensures that those that are pending retirement or those that will be forced into retirement by some accident by the transition period into para, which requires a 5-year vesting. So we need a motion to approve the increase of the benefit to $3,000. I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
Any discussion? Joe?
Aye.
I vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
And Michelle?
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0 4-0 to increase the pension to $3,000 for the Firemen's Relief Association in accordance with the current bylaws. Next issue.
The second proposal or recommendation that the relief would have is we transition from our current retirement funding plan, which is currently distributed between the State Board of Investment, Ameriprise, CDs, cash, and we transition to PERA or PERA, Public Employee Pension Plan. Bunch of different benefits to it. Obviously, as everybody knows, the audit itself is a cost ranging between $7,000 and $10,000, and it's going up every year. So we can mitigate that. We do not need to have an annual audit on that fund itself if we transition it to PERA.
But we do need to have an audit when we transfer, the reason being that protects the city's position for a debt ratio in our pending audit as well. Because if we don't have an audit of that fund, it could adversely impact the findings of the city's audit. So we want to have an audit prior to the transition, and that can be worked out with.
We just need an
Actuarial review. Okay.
And as the mayor indicated earlier, the cost analysis overall, as Libby referred to as well, really entails nothing in addition to what's already coming out of the municipality at a benefit level of $3,000. In fact, above and beyond that, about $29,000 if we're assuming the same numbers, will go right into the asset fund and can start working for capital. That offers an opportunity in the next 5 years to actually have the potential to raise it again. Overall, it really transitions any liability from the city directly to the fund itself, completely self-sufficient at that point.
And it also transfers liability from the Relief Association as far as the retirement piece of that to the state as well.
Personnel hours will be significantly reduced. PERA manages disbursements when it comes to the lump sum payment. They handle all the paperwork. It's really one form that the appointed fire chief would fill out on an annual basis, provide to them, and that's pretty much it. There are some stipulations regarding our current relief in the bylaws. It's reduced from its current 6 people down to 5. The fire chief being one, and the rest are basically named trustees, and you can title however you want. That is one of the requirements. Significant difference is our current tenure vesting period transition to 5. That is part of PERA. It's a 5-year plan.
And that will require a change in the bylaws.
Correct. The other benefit, retirement age, transitions from the age of 55 to 50. It's consistent across the board. That's every fire department that's joined. These bylaws apply to them. It's a 5-year vested period, and pension lump sum payment at age of 50.
And Jeff, you had some conversation with other fire departments who did it as well, with what their findings.
Mayor has been in it for about 3 years now. Sat down and had a conversation with their fire chief, and he said, paperwork-wise, it's been absolutely the best decision that they made when it came to the relief and the overall pension plan. It is a lot less personnel hours for sure. So, average returns are just that, they're average returns. We can talk 6%. That's roughly what they claim. Plus or minus, just like in retirement.
The other piece is down the road of being able to contribute to the principal based on where we're at. And it gives us a lot of wiggle room as far as what we're putting in right now. And as that becomes fully vested in the fund, then we would be able to reduce costs overall in the long run as well, provided the fund stays stable. Any other discussion? I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2015-25 to allow the Fire Relief Association to join PARA, the state retirement fund.
I'll second that.
I vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. Also from the fire department, we'll just hang tight.
Can we go back just 1 second, Rick?
Yes.
Regarding the item you added about actuarial,
Mhm.
Mike, I think that came from the meeting, and Mike had asked me about the actuarial, if we needed to do one this year in 2015, a fire relief actuarial report to review. He had asked me to look into it, and I did. I checked with our auditor, and we do really need to do one. It is a matter of us having a clean audit versus a modified audit, and we really don't want a modified audit.
That affects our lending rate.
It affects our bond rating
Bond
and
rating.
everything.
So we need to set that up before we actually join as well, so we've got that in place. So you or Mike want to work with me to reference that, ensure that you have the link with you when we provide. Okay, and then we have 3 new people in the front row. Stephen Schmall, Joseph Doyle, and Daniel Ryle Jr. Correct? They went through the interview process?
Yes, I'm no longer.
Did I catch you unaware there?
I'm no longer a member of the hiring and personnel committee. This is the first year I haven't been associated with the interviews, so.
Well, yes,
How they got up here, though?
I do have a memo from the chief to that.
Okay.
So,
I can read it for you if you'd like.
no, we need a motion to accept those 3 people as members of the fire department, as I recall, correct? So I will make that motion.
I will second that motion.
Melissa?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye. Motion carries 4-0 to accept the 4 new people from the fire department. Have a report from the fire department as well in reference to their activities in October. Anything to add in reference to any highlights?
No, that's my recollection.
Did you have a structure fire in Marysville Township?
That's correct.
Any issues with that? Went well?
Just
Or was our part of it?
Yeah, mutual aid with multiple other agencies seem to go very well.
Okay, anything else for Jeff? Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, Council.
I'll put you on the spot, Jeff. Stay up.
I'm gonna run.
I know. Okay.
I stand in front of you.
Moving to old business. The commission applications. We have an exhibit A and exhibit B in your packet. Lenny, where does exhibit B come from?
I think we copied another city.
And I can shed some light on that. That is sort of true, but yeah, the Exhibit A is, to my knowledge, the current or the old version. And I took a look at a little bit at this and added some red lines as far as making it a little more user-friendly. But I went and looked at some of the other cities that I work with as well, and it was really all over the map for what they use. So, to my knowledge, Sean and Anna sort of taking the Exhibit B as far as cutting it down a little bit, making it a little bit simpler, and that's what we had before you. Sean sent this to me to review for tonight, and I don't have any problems with this at all. It's just, I think this is pretty solid. There is a separate form that we get consent from people who provide their name, address, phone, stuff that is normally private information. We get their consent basically saying, since you're a member of the commission, you know, there's this data out there about you that's private, but in order for you to give that, you sign that consent. So that's I was getting the word wrong. Tennessee Tennessee, I would say Tennessee. So that's not part of this, but that's what you already have in place, and you're not scheduling that to change. But I think so it would be basically a change from Exhibit A to Exhibit B if you approve tonight.
Exhibit A is what you drafted, correct, Andy?
This was what
After?
I think you already had, yeah, and I guess there isn't a red line. Sean didn't have the red line on this.
I think this is the actual old one.
This one?
I think so.
The actual old one was like 7 pages long.
Well, he's not, that's because it has the other ones
Yeah.
with that we still do have to have. The other couple of pages.
Yeah, this Exhibit A was with my
Red lines.
red lines that, I mean, the red lines don't show, but those are I see some of my changes on here, so. But really, it's, and I've talked to others in my firm too, it's really up to the city. I mean, as long as we have the basic consents covered and the basic contact info, then it's really up to the city. The city of Bayport, for example, has just 2 pages of blank lines with just why you want to be on the commission. That's all they have. And then they also have a consent form, but so I think your Exhibit B looks good.
Any discussion?
Exhibit A was what you had given us last time. That was my question on the billing, correct?
Yeah, so Exhibit,
What was our charge roughly?
I can find that out. I couldn't guess really. I can find that out for you probably under an hour's time for certainly. So Exhibit A, I guess, I got what you already have from Sean, and I tried to condense it a little bit. And then Sean did some research, I think, in some other cities, what they do, and I contributed a little bit to that, and that resulted in Exhibit B.
We have consensus as to which form you'd like to use. I like B myself, shorter is better. Michelle?
B.
Okay. I make a motion that we move to Exhibit B for interest in commissions and EDA and Highland Cooperative Development.
I'll second.
Melissa?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
I vote aye, motion carries 4-0 to go to Exhibit B for the commission application, along with any other required documentation that we have to have by law. New business. Union negotiations. Anyone to lead that one off?
Sure. Now, Mike, of course, is more close to the facts. We're, I think, ready to, from the city standpoint, kick off any union negotiations that we're going to do as the CBA is expiring at the end of the year. The union representative is now available, to my knowledge, to kick off those negotiations, and I don't think, from my understanding, it's going to take too long as far as the timeline, so I think we'll be able to meet the end of the year deadline pretty easily. So we don't have any dates necessarily set now. It's going to be a scheduling issue on the calendar. And then I think the only other part that's left dangling there is who is going to be representing the city in those negotiations. And we've sort of bandied about who that might be, how many, etc. Now keep in mind that once you hit the quorum of the city council, then these negotiations at least begin in any given day in a public session that needs to be noticed. And then you can certainly close that for labor negotiations, but you have to follow the script set up by state statute very carefully, and we've gone through those in other negotiations, so you are familiar with that. So I just want to keep that that in mind if you go over 2 council members?
In my discussions with Mike, were that we should have 3 people from the council in reference to that, so that we have representation from the new members of the council as well as the old members of the council. Just so that we don't go through any issues as far as changes after the fact or what have you. We discussed that it should be the personnel committee as the 2 base members of that, and then Mike said that it should probably be Lloyd as the 3rd member on that one. Any discussion on those 3 members being our negotiating team for the union? I make a motion that the union negotiation team be comprised of myself, Jill, and Lloyd as the 3 members for the negotiation team for the union contract.
Do we have no date set up for this yet? I'm slightly concerned about that.
Yeah, the union rep had some medical leave he was on, so now that's all taken care of, and from what I hear today, he's ready to go when we're ready to go, so.
Okay, motion pending. Need a second?
I'll second, sorry. Sorry, I interrupted again.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Did we have discussion? Did I miss that?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Discussion.
So after the 3 are in there, we don't approve the union contract though until full council approval, correct?
Full council through, yes.
Okay.
I vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Motion carries 4-0. The union negotiation team will be myself, Jill, and Lloyd. Okay, I have a community holiday dinner on here.
I put this on the agenda because Michelle came in and asked me about holding the community holiday dinner. So she can talk about that part of it. And we'll go from there.
Okay. We had this, well, I come up with an idea of holding a community dinner for citizens in need, I guess, is how I'll phrase it, during the Christmas season, since we have such a big need through the feed program, which all kind of stuff. So talking at the volunteer meeting with myself, Jill, and some other members of volunteers that had come in, we talked about doing a holiday dinner. And we kind of picked the date of the 19th of December, but we're wondering if we could use the city's license to hold that dinner.
So when we applied for our license through the Department of Health, we listed National Night Out and Party in the Park. And with the fee that you pay per year, you can hold up to 3 events. So that's the license she's talking about. My only question is, if you use the city's license, does it put the city at liability? Does it make the city liable if something happens?
That's with the example of some other community having a separate some other community group having a separate license and holding an event at a city property. They would hold the liability if we use the example of food poisoning, for example.
Right.
So, I mean,
not that,
Yeah.
not saying that anything's gonna happen, but that's why it's required by the state for, say, the Lions to pull a license. That puts the onus on them if something happens and the city isn't held responsible if something happens. Because they're using this building, which is a city building. So if we use the city license and it's not a city function, how does that affect?
Would the dinner be catered by a licensed food vendor?
No.
Okay.
Is it by invitation only?
Yes.
If it's by invitation only, you do not need a license.
You're gonna make it by invitation only if that was for anybody in need.
Well, we have to get the information for those that are in need.
How are you going to do that? Isn't that private information?
It is, yes, but if we reach out to the county and stuff like that, we could let them know that we're doing it and they could send the invitation, not doing it to us directly. It's kind of like the holiday meal, you know, that comes out at Thanksgiving time, the basket.
Yeah, 'cause I know the feed program is working on setting up dates on the fourth Tuesday of the month going through the winter season for produce and other crops as well. And they're working with the fire department as well to be able to use the space when the fire department's not there on the fourth Tuesday of the month. And they're also working to bolster the Waverly food shelf as well, as far as the times that they're available, and be able to provide support with them as well from the church groups. So that will be helpful as far as the need-based issues. I also know that the churches typically do baskets as well for needy families as well as part of their process. So
They do a holiday dinner at Thanksgiving, don't they?
Yes.
yes,
Thanksgiving
yeah,
dinner.
there's a Thanksgiving dinner as well. Thanksgiving holiday.
I think it's
Thanksgiving.
at church.
Thanksgiving, yeah.
Nina, we're doing Thanksgiving baskets and also cookie baskets for the vets.
And the church groups have a little bit more leeway as far as their liabilities and that because of the laws that are there with church groups.
So can we see if the church would be willing to like sponsor it?
You have to still hold it in the church then.
Yeah, you have to hold
Has to be
it
a
on
church
yourself.
It's called a church lady law.
Yeah, has to be on church property. It's on city property, but it's the city at the liability.
Yeah. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, I just don't know how it holds us liable, I just don't want to be.
Cindy?
Well, yeah, that, and so, you know, first I heard it was today, so I'm kind of flying a little bit here, but, you know, you have an insurance policy for liability in your building for people getting hurt, so that covers you. But as far as anything related to that license, that's where you would take on an additional liability, but the risk of anything, I mean, to be honest, the risk of any liability occurring is small as it is. So just so you know that, I think I wouldn't have any problem, you know, going ahead with that and using the last license spot. But it's just something that it's good to know going into this.
And December 19th is a good date on that.
I think we put it down, didn't we?
Yeah, it's the only day.
That's why it's that date.
We wrote it down, it's reserved.
Any other discussion? Entertained motion?
We're gonna move forward with the city license? Is that the motion
To allow the use of the city food license for a holiday dinner
That's fine, we
on
just
December 19th.
kind of flipped real fast there, from not to yes.
We need more discussion? Is that what you're saying?
No, I just have to make sure I was on the same page.
Okay.
Yeah, I'll make a motion to use the Last City food license to host the community holiday dinner.
I'll second. Michelle?
Hi.
I vote aye. Melissa?
No.
And Jill?
Aye.
Motion carries 3-1.
Now, is that only for the people that live in the city of Montrose?
Yes, because it's my invitation.
Right. But the city of Montrose?
I would think if you're using the city's license, if the city paid for the license, you should limit it to city residents.
Agreed.
Okay. A note also that the City Hall will be closed on November 11th for Veterans Day. So make sure that's out there. Upcoming meetings, we have the special meeting, the workshop, for the budget workshop. And that's also, is it the public hearing for Parkview Care Center as well? Okay. 5 p.m. November 23rd. Town hall meeting November 30th. That is an open forum, available, open for anyone. You've got the poster for that. Those are out there already.
It's also on Community of Montrose and next door.
And we have the next council meeting December 14th. That'll also be a truth in taxation public hearing as well at 7 o'clock in conjunction with the council meeting. Anything else that we missed? Anything more for the good of the city?
Any acknowledgements?
Acknowledgements?
I have one, I have a couple actually. It goes back to the engineering, what's it called? Working out on a regional park. What was it called?
Army Corps of Engineers.
There you go, thank you. The Army Corps of Engineer application that Justin's working on. I want to acknowledge his hard work on that, and then also with Roy Henry's part in that and getting that up and going. And then this past year, I do want to acknowledge the city staff, because this past year has been pretty rough with the changes that have gone on. So I want to acknowledge Wendy, Anna, Sean, all the public works guys, for everything that they've done over the last year with changes that have been made going forward. Sean really for stepping up and all the hard work that he's done too. So thank you guys for everything.
I'd like to ask any veterans in the audience to stand. And any family members of veterans, please stand. You have veterans in your family. Thank you. I'd like to recognize our summer hire guys that ended their service in August. That was Tony Abramowski and Matt Reiner. And then also Pat Luke, because Pat did a tremendous amount of work for the city and didn't get a lick of reimbursement for it. He was out there probably 8 hours a day pretty much all summer. And it's a labor of love for him, but please tell Pat we greatly appreciate everything that he did over the summer. I know he did a huge amount of work and really was a tremendous help to us as well for the city. So that benefited the city greatly, and we greatly appreciate everything that Pat did. I'd also like to recognize Tony Grusing, who is stepping up on Parks and Rec to take on to head up the archery team, to look into an archery location for the city of Montrose in one of our parks. So I appreciate him stepping up to do that. Also for the fire department, for Matt Menard, scheduling and setting up the fire prevention. And Mike Menard for his dedication through the firefighters and throughout the years. And then Mike Martin, sorry. And all the fires who responded to the structure fire on the 30th on Halloween. So thank you guys, appreciate it, and really appreciate your service. The other thing I want to recognize is the people from the FEED program and their continued efforts to help those in need in the Montrose area. So I really appreciate those guys as well. I can do that.
You gonna go this way?
Motion
to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn? You got Melissa or Michelle?
I'll second.
Me.
Okay. I vote aye. Melissa?
Aye.
Jill?
Aye.
Michelle?
Aye.
We stand adjourned.
That's a long acknowledgement.
I guess that's what it is.
I was trying to point to that.
I'm going to go kiss my daughter, have a birthday.